Welcome to the Fix Your Sciatica podcast, where we meet with experts and clients and discuss how to manage your sciatica and low back pain without the use of medications or surgery. I'm your host, Dr. Ashley Mack, and I'm a physical therapist as well as the founder of ifixyoursciatica.com, a go-to resource for pain management. So with the wonders of technology, I've been able to help people all throughout the world and throughout this country live free from sciatica pain. And today I wanted to share an amazing story and journey of some work with a really good friend of mine. And her name is Ashley as well. And I find that the name Ashley just already puts you in a category of being a super awesome person. And so when Ashley reached out for me to help her, I was really, really excited for this amazing opportunity. So Ashley, thank you so much for being on today's episode.
Thank you. I 100% agree with you about the whole Ashley thing.
It's probably one of the best names. And so, Ashley, if you can, tell us a little bit more about yourself and what was your journey through sciatica pain?
Yeah. So I experienced sciatica pain one morning. I've been an athlete I started CrossFit and just really pushing myself back in 2009. And did CrossFit for a really long time, started dabbling in more endurance stuff and just overall strength and conditioning. Didn't have any pain, never had any real injuries other than just like overuse of your shoulders and those classic things that we all do. So I woke up one morning and it was chilly in Florida. It's never chilly in Florida. And so I had moved all my potted plants up to our front porch. Woke up, got out of bed, and did a beautiful deadlift to pick up my potted plant and put it back onto the ground. So we do this strange thing in Florida where we move our plants so they don't freeze. It makes no sense to other people in the world, but picked it up and felt this weird, I wouldn't call it a pop, just an odd sensation. Was totally fine. Went about my day, actually went and played volleyball with our kids. Didn't play for very long, did some stretching because I could just tell something was going on. That night, started to make dinner and hit the ground. And I knew something was wrong. Like it was immense pain. But continued, like I have pretty high pain tolerance just from doing a lot of exercise over time, and went about, made dinner, cleaned up, went to bed that night. Woke up in 10 out of 10 pain, and tried everything that I knew all night long was, in and out of a hot bath and whatnot, and that just wasn't happening for releasing the pain. And so we ended up making a trip to the ER. I've never been to the ER in my life. They gave me an immense amount of painkillers and it just didn't touch it. So next morning, we have a functional medicine doctor. He gave me some prescriptions for some medicine that I don't love taking, right? Like I don't want to spend my life on steroids and anti-inflammatories and whatnot, but it got me through it. I then did a bout of spinal decompression, got a little bit better. When I reached out to Ashley was when I wanted to start fitnessing again to the level that I was used to being able to fitness, and was just honestly tired of, I called it having a fat foot. So my foot felt fat all the time, numbness, tingling in my hamstring. My calf felt like it was constantly in a knot. And so I wanted some reassurance in that, like, hey, Ash, your disc is okay. Your sciatic nerve is angry, and then how to calm it down. And that's what you did for me.
Oof, what a journey. 10 out of 10 pain. So listeners, just wanted to clarify, a large part when it comes to pain is that it's invisible. And more often than not, people outside of like people who aren't you, they can't see the pain that you're in. And so it is very challenging as a person who's going through pain to describe what you're going through, because no one can truly see it. Unlike a cut or a scrape where you have the signs of an injury, where you are bleeding or you have a scab, or even when you're looking at a condition like diabetes, where you're actually monitoring your blood sugar. And so when it comes to measuring your pain, it's going to be based on your scale. There's no egos when it comes to managing or trying to rate your pain. If you're talking about a scale of 10 out of 10 pain, that's the worst pain that you've ever been in. And so it's important for you to be able to keep that in mind, because I think a large part when I'm working with people, I guess it's challenging to try to describe the pain that you're in already, and then to describe it with a person who deals with it for a long period of time. It just takes a lot of effort, and I can see how challenging it could be when describing. So thank you for sharing that, Ashley, because your 10 out of 10 pain is very unique to you. And it's important, if you are measuring your pain on a scale like that, being able to compare it to what you are going through as compared to what other people are going through, because we can all hide our invisible pain in ourselves, right? You can be at a 10 out of 10 pain and have a huge smile on your face. If you have ever met Ashley or I in person, we have a tendency to have huge smiles on our faces to begin with, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we're like not dealing with whatever aches and pains that we're going through. So thank you for sharing that. And so you went through spinal decompression therapy, which I actually am a huge fan. I think we discussed it. I said, I'm so glad because it actually provided a little bit of relief. There's many different forms of spinal decompression. Did you go through, were you using a machine, or did the practitioner pull on you? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, it was an actual machine. It looked like something straight out of a rocket ship or a medieval torture device, right? So you would lay on it and it would pull you from each direction, and it would allow, in my layman's terms, like the spine to elongate and let that disc slip back into place over time. So the thing with spinal decompression is it's wonderful. It also becomes a very large part of your day. So it's at least an hour of your day. And you do this multiple, like when you start, it's, 6 days a week, and then you move to 5 and whatnot. And so it did provide a ton of relief in the sense that, yes, I was up walking, in 4 days or so. And I really do contribute that to the spinal decompression and my functional medicine doctor. But that I didn't want to be on that long term. I knew there had to be something else that I could do at home, and if I just found the right person to help me.
Yeah, it's a great modality, but you're right, being able to do something on your own. And I think it's important, especially for us, if you're active and your desire to be active, a large part of it is being able to have control, or have some sort of control over how you feel and what you can do to take care of your body. You're in fitness, and so you definitely know the importance of being able to be active and move around. And so when we got to that point, when you went through spinal decompression, your symptoms started to go down a little bit and you started to walk. Tell us a little bit more about what it was like from a fear standpoint of, like, you've gone through this 10 out of 10 pain, you finally got out of it. But did you ever have any sort of fear of re-injuring and kind of re-flaring up the pain doing everyday activities?
Yeah, I had a tremendous amount of fear, because I went from a person that was pretty active, could do anything I wanted in life, to a person that was in bed for 3 days and on an immense amount of drugs. And so I carried that fear with me, even though I was feeling better and could do somewhat of my normal routine of life, even when it came to fitness. It was constantly in the back of my mind, like, is this the rep that's going to put me back on the ground? Is this I'm doing just an activity I love. I'm gardening. Is this the thing? So you live with that constant thought in the back of your head of going back to 10 out of 10, of going back to being in bed. And it's horrible, really.
We are going to take a quick break to tell you about our awesome new program called the Sciatica Protocol. If you don't have the time to see a professional, but are tired of trying to figure out this recovery on your own, then the Sciatica Protocol is for you. Harness the power of a knowledgeable physical therapist through your phone. It takes no more than 7 minutes per day, and it is designed to help you recover as quickly as possible. Now, having an on-demand physical therapist can cost thousands plus hours of sessions. But with the Sciatica protocol, you'll receive the same, if not better, customized care completely free. And why are we making this program free? Because I believe that everyone deserves to live free from pain without actually having cost be the biggest obstacle. It is simple to start, and all you need to do is log into ifixyoursciatica.com/the-sciatica-protocol and fill out the 9-question quiz to begin. The link for the program is in today's show notes. Yeah, that fear really, it puts a huge block on being able to enjoy the normal things. I got really into gardening since we moved out here to California. It's beautiful. It actually just started to rain, which is really nice because our plants really need it. And so, yeah, moving plants and pots and everything like that. And I'll tell you what, it's for me, I've experienced a pretty bad bout of back pain and sciatica back when I was in college, and I think actually back when everyone was in college, they were pretty much fearless. But now I have that thought of like, okay, well, what happens if I'm like picking up this cactus and I like hurt myself? Like what? It's a big what if, and so it makes me start thinking. And so, listeners, I just want to let you know that as you're going through this journey, the fear of getting hurt again is a very normal response. In fact, the pain that we experience. One, it's a signal in some cases that there is some sort of injury, but also number two, the pain that we feel is a protective mechanism to ensure that we are not putting ourselves more in harm's way. And the fear associated with it, it is a memory that we have that gets created with this experience. And so a large part, and that's why people like me exist, to help reduce that fear and build up that confidence so you can get back into doing everything that you want to do, whether it be lifting, gardening, walking, or even just like simply living your life. So Ashley, let's talk about like when we met and we're like, okay, Ashley to Ashley, I think I can help you. It's like, great. Okay. We're going to see each other. Tell us a little bit more about like, what were your expectations going into your first session, or like even meeting via Zoom like this?
Yeah. My expectation was that I was going to have an expert be able to give me confidence back in how to live my life the way I wanted to. And, doing it over Zoom actually was really super convenient. If I'm being honest, I talked about not wanting to like drive to the doctor's office every day to go to spinal decompression. And I say this in the nicest way, but like, I don't want to sit in a waiting room and right. That like takes time out of your day, where doing it over Zoom was super convenient. And never did I feel like I wasn't getting a tremendous level of care when it came to that. So I honestly loved it and highly recommend it.
Oh, that's great to hear. I love it too. So then we get together, we meet. Was there anything that surprised you like through this experience, like as we were working together?
Yeah. So you said something, and we've talked a little bit about this since then, but your philosophy with that, you want to heal the person. You want to give them the tools and the movements and whatever it may be for me to not have to see you anymore. And that's such an interesting take, right? Because like healthcare and medicine and is generally like, well, let me keep you coming back in the door. Most businesses are that. And that's not, it was one of the first things you said to me. And what it made me feel like was, one, like you were in it for the right reasons. But two, you were going to equip me with the tools necessary to go out and do this on my own, which I thought was really fun. So I appreciated it.
Oh, you're so welcome. I love tools. I'm not a homeowner right now. I'm currently renting, but I've been getting very, very handy using the tools that we have at our disposal. And so like a large part of it is that like tools are tools. Like it's we have these things at our disposal, and I think it's very important for everyone. Everyone has a right to deserve to have the basic tools to manage some of the things on their own, and ultimately to empower, because I'm really happy to help folks, but it also every time I meet someone who's in pain, I carry that pain with me, because I want that pain to go away, and I want people I work with to actually live free and go back to doing everything that they want to do. And so it's really exciting to hear that I was able to consistently share that with you, which is really great. And so let's talk about the things that you loved. I know that you said you loved Zoom, like the Zoom experience, which is really great, because I mean, that means that, I mean, from a freedom standpoint, like, you can be on vacation, you can go anywhere, and then you can still actually experience pain relief, because we're not limited to having to go to a clinic. And I think that's one of the big challenges when I'm meeting people in person. It's like, all right, well, I'm going to go on vacation the next week, and it's like, I'm not going to see you. And then we have to create a game plan of what the next 10 days are going to be, which I think is, I don't want to say it's totally fine. It's better than fine. It's totally awesome for that to happen. I want people to go on vacation, but also being able to provide that flexibility for someone, if they are going to be traveling, that they still have someone in their corner, having that support. But is there anything else that you were like, oh man, I really like this, or like really loved about this experience?
Yeah, I think you have a really great eye for just watching movement patterns. And so it wasn't, if we think how we used to do things when we would go into a clinic or a doctor's office and we would get manipulated and, they're like hands on with you. That's not necessary, because you were able to watch it through Zoom and watch my movement patterns. And you had me send you things that I was doing, like exercise wise, and you were able to see things that even if I had gone to a clinic, right? Like, I've never had someone say, hey, send me a video of your back squat, right? Because that's where this is coming from. And so it's just a whole different level of care, but also a huge talent of yours.
I'm just going to say, words of affirmation is actually how I love receiving stuff like that. So anyway, I'm beaming, and it's 7 a.m. out here in California. The sun isn't up yet, but I'm beaming. And so if you're watching the video, these aren't backlights that you're seeing on my screen. It's my face beaming. So that's actually me. So all right. So Ashley, let's talk about the future, right? We got you to a point where you're in beautiful, sunny Florida. You have the tools that you need to overcome this, if this ever comes back, and you have the world now that the pain is out of the way. You have the world ahead of you. What are you looking forward most for the future for you?
So Kara, my wife, and I are surfers, and so I had this huge fear of going out and laying on my board and my sciatic acting up, and then I'm in a situation where I'm trying to swim and now I'm drowning. Like, I had made all this up in my head, right? I'm so looking forward. We're taking a surf trip in January, and so getting back out there and just enjoying something that's just pure fun for us and for me. I'm back to doing, high intensity CrossFit, if you will, 2 to 3 days a week. I am going to get back into running, like all those things that I was doing before. But I think the most important part of the puzzle is that just the journey of it. And I think that's a great word to use for this, because it's not that this is, I don't know, maybe in 10 years, I'm going to be like, oh yeah, that was a thing. And I somehow compartmentalize it and pack it away and whatnot. But this will always be with me, right? But now I have the confidence to live and do the things that I purely just love in life. Like, I do CrossFit, I run, I do all those things so that I can do the activities I love. And so, it's been a huge gift.
I'm so excited for what's to come. I'm so excited for your surf trip. One thing that I actually didn't send over to you before we started, but it actually brought up a really great point. You surf, you do CrossFit, you lift, you do all these activities. we're going to just take a step back, like right when you first got hurt. Like, what were your thoughts like when you got hurt, of being able to say, am I going to be able to surf? Am I going to be able to do CrossFit? What was that like? I'm sorry to bring you back there.
No, it's fine. So have you read The Comfort Crisis? Highly recommend this book. It's written by Michael Easter, and it talks about there's 2% of the world that chooses to go out and do hard things. The book is about the other 98% and getting them to try hard things too. One of my personal values is doing like physical hard work. And so when this first happened, I thought that was going to be taken away from me. And so on a values point of view of just living my life the way I want to, it was devastating to think I couldn't no longer do just super hard things. And so we like to sign up for adventure races. And, he talks about in the book, Misogi, which is, there's 3 rules to it. You can't die. There's a 50% chance of failure. And then ultimately, like, you have to survive and do the thing, right? So you have to pick one of these things and just go out and do them. And so I love that about myself, that I like doing those things, as weird as it sounds. But so, yeah, it really scared me that part was going to be taken away. And it's a lot of the relationship that I have with Kara is doing those things together.
Right on. Yeah. So here we are, going back to being able to do those hard things. It's huge. Ashley, I'm so pumped. I can't jump right now because my wife's still sleeping, so I can't jump and like shout for joy, because this is so great to hear. And I love this story. And again, Ashley's always vibe with other Ashleys, which is really, really great. Someone's listening and they're like, all right, well, my story is kind of like similar to Ashley, but I'm like really scared and I don't know about reaching out or like thinking about the team at iFixYourSciatica.com. So what are your words of encouragement and recommendations? What are your tips for them, or words of advice for them who are listening?
Yeah. So I would think about what it is that you want on the other side of this. Think about and get small with it, right? Like, I want to do X again. I want to garden again. I want to, every Thanksgiving, my family goes for a walk after we have our meal. Like, whatever your thing may be, pick that thing, and then know that this opportunity working with you is going to bring you back to that thing that you're missing and you're so fearful of not being able to do again. Like I said, the Zoom experience, the convenience of it, is really just, it takes a lot of roadblocks out of maybe more traditional, like going to an office and whatnot with it. So I would consider it more a huge convenience. You have an incredible eye for seeing movement and being able to talk you through, not just like do this thing, but how does that feel when you do this thing, and then tweaking what you're doing, putting that in your toolbox, and then finding yourself in, not long. I know everybody's journey is different, but for me personally, it wasn't all that long before I was back to doing everything I wanted to do. So easiest thing, book the appointment.
Thank you, Ashley. Oh, it's great. Yeah, being able to like get you back into doing everything, and also looking at making those tweaks. I think it's important, especially when you are dealing with pain. Again, pain is invisible. So it's important for you to be able to see, what am I experiencing? What am I going through? And that will actually drive a lot of the exercise selection, a lot of the stretch selection, even modifying it. And so I'm so glad, I'm so thankful that we had the opportunity to work together. And I'm really confident you're going to, the world is yours. And just consider that this journey, this roadblock that you went, this incident was kind of more of like a speed bump roadblock, just something that we kind of remember. It's like, we don't have to, gun it to 90 over a speed bump, but just being aware, and then using the tools that I've shared with you. Ashley, you are in the fitness industry. You have a great, amazing company. So you actually offer a great health and wellness program over at your gym. Right. Yeah. And so I think you also provide some remote work as well. Is that correct? Yeah. And so if someone actually if they're listening and they've like recently overcome a bout of sciatica and they are ready to get back into the next step of their health and wellness, how can they get in contact with you, your company, and get started on the next step?
Yeah, absolutely. So the name of my gym is Nika Athletics, and you can find us on all the social medias, whatever one you prefer. I've recently really gotten into TikTok, and I hated to admit it, but somebody gave me advice that it's a really great platform to actually learn a lot of information from. So we're on there too. And then for myself, I am on Instagram as Brave Ashley Hahn. And so Kara, my wife, and I are getting ready to launch a women's leadership course where you're going out to do hard things and then learning from that experience and applying it to your everyday life. So yeah, any of the socials.
That is so cool. I didn't even know that. So thank you for sharing that with me. And so for listeners, if you feel like, man, Ashley's story was awesome, and what she's got going on is something that you are interested in, I'm actually going to be putting her contact information into the show notes, so then that way you can have all that reference. But Ashley, thank you so much for your time and sharing your story with the listeners today.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for tuning in. We hope you got some help from today's podcast. And for more info, check us out at ifixyoursciatica.com. Have a fantastic and pain-free day. No patient-therapist relationship is formed by listening to this podcast. We are not providing medical advice, and all information should be confirmed by a medical provider.